Cauliflower mac and cheese up and running. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you'll see that I've done it a couple times here. It comes out really well and it's pretty easy to make. So we'll go ahead and get into it. Alright guys, so this is pretty simple ingredient. All you need is, we've got, this is 5 slices of pre-cooked bacon. Just put it in the oven and did it with a whole pound of bacon. Put the rest in the fridge to have later. This is what's left. Right here we've got a cup of heavy whipping cream. Use cheap stuff, it's fine, works just great. Store brand, or if you want to do the Land O'Lakes or something like that, knock yourself out, whatever you want. A little bit of Worcestershire sauce, just kind of lighten up the cheese sauce that we're going to make. This is cheddar cheese. This is actually 2 cups. Most of this will go into the cheese sauce, but some of it is actually going to go into the top to kind of crisp up on the top at the end. And then here you've got, this is 1 head of cauliflower, and I've just cut this up into smaller pieces. Basically anything that you would consider bite-sized. So if this is bite-sized to you, that's fantastic. If this is bite-sized to you, that's fantastic too, whatever you want to do. So it's a pretty easy recipe to do all in all. Right now I've got the oven heating to 350 degrees, that's to finish it off. And if we come take a look at the stove here, I've got some water coming up to boil. I've got about a 1/4 cup of kosher salt in that water. Doesn't matter if you use regular salt, just put some salt in there and that'll add some extra flavor to the cauliflower. And then just a small sauce pot here that we're going to use to actually do the cream sauce. So we're going to get this going, wait for this to come up to a boil, and I'll be back with you guys. Alright guys, and we are back. So my water is boiling, as you can see. I'm just going to go ahead and dump in the cauliflower very gently here. There we go. So you just want that to come back up to a boil. Give it a quick stir here. And so once that comes back up to a boil, probably take 5 or 6 minutes to kind of get it to a tender point. You don't want it to be super soft. So make sure that you give it just a little bit of crunch or a little bit of texture to it, not necessarily crunch. Obviously, if you're a weight loss surgery patient, you want your vegetables on the softer side, especially the closer you are to just having your surgery. And so just make sure you don't cook them all the way through. Otherwise, what will happen is your cheese sauce isn't going to stick very well. And then also, you're going to put this in the oven at the end to bake. And if you do that, it may get just mushy, and you don't want that. You want it to have a little bit of texture, so it kind of mimics the texture of macaroni and cheese, obviously without the noodles. So, that being said, what we're going to do is over here, we're going to turn this on medium-high heat, and we're going to go ahead and get our cream in. Alright, and like I said before, this is just a cup of heavy whipping cream. So go ahead and get that in. And then also, you can go ahead and put in, this is half a teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce. Alright, so we're going to give that a stir and let it warm up. You want to see it start bubbling around the edges, and then we'll be ready to start adding our cream sauce, or I'm sorry, our cheese to our cream sauce. And we'll keep an eye on this, and I'll be back in just a few minutes and show you guys what that looks like. Alright guys, we are back, and as you can see, we're still boiling over here. It's been about 2 minutes since I cut away the last time, but as you can see, we're starting to bubble a little bit. So first thing you want to do is give it a stir. Remember, don't get this too hot because it will burn on you. So, but we're going to start just a little bit at a time adding in this cheese. Don't add in too much. Try to make sure it's not clumpy like that piece was. But just a little bit at a time, because every time you do this, it is going to drop the temperature a bit. So you just want to drop some in, let it melt. And you just kind of keep stirring it, and it'll eventually melt in. And since we got some clumps will actually take a bit longer to melt down. But as you can see here, we are getting, that bit was done. So we're just going to add in some more. And I've actually got this pretty warm. So if it does get too warm on you, just move it off the heat and put a couple handfuls in, and then you can add it back to the heat to warm it back up as it's going through. So as you can see, this is all easy peasy stuff. It's just stuff you have to mind. We've got that clump still going, so we're just going to flip it around a little bit, and it will break up into it all. Don't worry, guys. Worst case scenario, just fish it back out if you got something in there that's not melting. So, all right, Another handful in. Matter of fact, I'm going to do an extra one. And I'm going to go ahead and turn the heat off at this point. So this is going to be plenty hot to melt the rest of the cheese that we need. And I'm sorry if I'm giving anybody motion sickness. I am filming this on my own. And it is being filmed on an iPhone, in case you were wondering. So I don't exactly have the GoPro rigs and all that good stuff. Just amateur cooking over here. Alright. And just a little bit more. And I'm going to put the clumpy stuff in there. Alright, and so that is all dissolving nicely. Like I said, I've got the heat off at this point. We're going to smash up these clumps and let them go ahead and melt in. But at this point, you want to go ahead and stop and add you a little bit of black pepper. Don't be afraid of seasoning, guys. There we go. Just stir this in. Alright, and as you can see there, your sauce, probably can't see too much in here. I apologize for the lighting, but it has turned yellow, so you got a nice creamy yellow sauce there. Let's go ahead and check on this cauliflower. It should be about done. Take a look. Yeah, so when you're stirring this around, if you can feel it and it's not bumping your spoon really hard, so the harder the cauliflower is when you tap it with your spoon, you'll kind of feel a resistance, and kind of like if you were hitting a baseball with a baseball bat, if that makes sense. That's what you would kind of feel. So I think this is actually looking pretty good. I'm just going to let this go about 1 more minute, and then at that point I'm going to go ahead and strain it and let it dry for a minute or so, and then we'll come back and we'll put this all together. But that is it. You're looking at your cauliflower there, and there's the cheese sauce. So I'll see you guys in a minute, and we'll get this into a baking sheet. At this point, if you're cooking along, go ahead and get you an 8x8 pan out, and go ahead and spray it with any kind of non-stick cooking spray, and you should be ready to go when your cauliflower dries out. Alright, see you guys in a minute. Alright guys, time to finish this up. So to finish it, pretty easy. All you're going to do is take your strained cauliflower. So it is dry, but you can probably still see a little bit of steam coming off here. But you're just going to dump it into your pan. Alright. And if you see something like that, I typically will just leave that because it's kind of mushed in. I'm not going to get that and have it in the pan with it. So that's it. So then I will actually take about half of this bacon, and I'm going to go ahead and push that in. Oops, making a mess here. That's how you know you're a good cook, is if you make a mess. Just ask my wife. Alright, so we've got that in, and then now we're just going to take this cheese sauce, give it a stir. Looks good. And we'll go ahead and we'll pour this in as well. Alright, we're going to set that aside. And so now what we want to do is just stir it up. Not rocket surgery here. It is going to be a little wet, and that's fine. Oh, sorry, got you out of focus. So it is going to be a little wet, that's fine, because as it bakes it will thicken up a bit. So we've got that on there. Looks good. And just kind of press it down a little bit. Excellent. Alright, so we have that. Now, pretty easy, we're just going to take and put some of this bacon crumble over the top. Not going to let all this good bacon go to waste. There we go, that looks pretty good to me. And then, once again, just put a little cheese over the top. And this doesn't matter if it's clumped up or not, it's just to melt across the top. Alright, and get all the kitties in the pool there. There we go. Alright, so that's it. So this goes into a 350-degree oven. Bake it about 20 minutes. You just want the cheese on top to be melted. If you want, you can do like I do. And just throw it under the broiler as well for a minute or two and kind of brown up the top. So that's optional, but certainly baking it. If you are going to use this for meal prepping, I wouldn't advise doing the broiler because it kind of makes the cheese a bit gluey if you're not going to eat it right away. So just kind of an FYI. Do it if you want as well. If you're going to heat it up at work in like a toaster oven versus a microwave, it'll work out just fine for you. So either way. But I'm going to go ahead and put this in 350 degree oven. We're going to let it go for about 20 minutes or so, and I will see you guys with the final results coming up in just a moment. We're getting ready to eat, guys. Alright, and I don't know if you can tell by all the sizzling, but we are done. So I did go ahead and put mine under the broiler for a few minutes. You can certainly let it go a bit longer, get a bit more color on there. That's all up to you. As you can see, I still got cheese bubbling around the edges from the sauce and all that. So that's pretty good to me. If you like it to be a little bit thicker, just leave it in the oven for 350 degrees. Leave it baking for a bit longer. The longer you cook it, the thicker it will get. This will set just a little bit more as it cools as well. So this is really what I'm looking for in the dish. So all that looks good. Pretty simple, easy dish to make. Probably on the beginner side, maybe intermediate if you've never broken down a cauliflower before. But we'll give you some tips and everything in just a second here. I'm going to go ahead and get this moved over and cooled off. And I will talk to you guys in just a moment. Alright everyone, so that was the cauliflower macaroni and cheese, or cauliflower mac and cheese, whatever you want to call it. Pretty simple to make. Like I said, you know, it's not, you don't really have to know a lot about cooking or anything like that. As far as the time it takes to cook, probably about 10 minutes to cook the cauliflower and everything, another 20 minutes in the oven. As far as prepping it, you know, I shred my own cheese, so that takes me an extra minute. Typically we'll get a big block and just shred it. It's a lot cheaper doing it that way. You get a block of cheese from Sam's Club for a few bucks. And then you just shred it up yourself and put it in a Ziploc bag. It stays fresh, just the same as it would pretty much as a solid block. So, and then as far as other stuff that I do, I cut up my own cauliflower. You can buy it pre-cut. That's fine. One of the things I will say is if you do, make sure you cut the stalks off. That's very fibrous, and that's something as a weight loss patient, be it VSG like myself or RNY, duodenal switch, whatever. Pick your poison on weight loss surgery there. Obviously, the tougher it is, the harder it is for you to digest and things like that, especially if you're like me. I'm only about 3 months out right now, so I don't eat a lot of the fibrous veggies. But the florets on it are just fine to eat, so you'll be fine there. As always, consult your doctor, make sure you're supposed to be eating veggies, make sure you're on plan, all that good stuff. But really, it doesn't take that long, especially if you've already got the bacon cooked and yada, yada, yada. I mean, it's fantastic. So total prep time is about 15 minutes. That kind of lets me measure everything out, chop up the bacon, break down the whole head of cabbage. Like I said, get the pre-cut stuff if you want it to be a little quicker for you. Don't use the rice cauliflower, because then you're just basically going to have cheesy rice. You're not going to have that mac and cheese size bite to it. But other than that, cooking it less than 10 minutes. You get it into the oven and then just let it sit for 20 minutes. So not a whole lot of time. You can certainly get other stuff done. During that time, by the way, washing dishes, getting bowls ready to put it in the prep, stuff like that. So you can still get other things done. As a matter of fact, it's cooling in there and I'm finishing up this video. So you can always multitask while this is going. The only real things you have to watch is the cauliflower when it boils and the cheese sauce while you're making it. It will burn, and if it burns, it'll separate. So, but that's it. Hopefully you guys liked it. So share it if you know anyone who needs a recipe like this. I am going to be doing more of these videos, or at least trying. Tomorrow I'm going to make some chili, so I'll try to video that as well. And we'll have a nice chili recipe. Other than that, if you know something or kind of looking for a substitute for something, let me know. I do all kinds of cooking. I share a lot of it on Instagram so you guys can see. I love barbecuing stuff. I still do that even though I've had weight loss surgery. And remember guys, just because you have weight loss surgery doesn't mean you can't eat stuff. You can, it's just a smaller portion, and you start with your protein first. So also for this recipe, if you know anyone doing keto, it is good for keto. Some people will add cream cheese into the sauce, and that's perfectly fine. You can do that. Just keep in mind that it does add extra fat and calories. So for a weight loss patient like myself, I don't need the fat, I don't need the calories. So I left the cream cheese out of it. There's plenty of fat and everything in there with just the bacon, the cream, and the regular cheese itself. So, but But that's it, guys. So nice, quick, simple. Hope you enjoyed it. If you do, make sure you subscribe, give a thumbs up, and leave a comment. Let me know how your dishes turned out. Thanks, guys.